Abah, background bah. Background.
Testing.
Hello.
Test.
Yes.
Abah mic. Okay.
Should I turn it on or off? Should I turn it on or turn it off?
Turn it off when you're not talking. Masih. Thank you. Attention to all attendees. We will begin our webinar in a few minutes. Please be ready with your pens and notebooks to jot down the important points discussed during the webinar. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and welcome all to TESOL 4's extraordinary webinar titled Diving into the Impact of English, Malaysian versus Indonesian Students. To start off, I'd like to invite Radi bin Muhammad Rauftain to recite the prayers.
Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma aftah alaina himmataka wa anshur alaina min huzaimi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. ربنا اشرح لنا صدورنا ويسر لنا أمورنا واحلل عقدة من لساننا يفقهوا قولنا اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل اللهم فينا ولا معنا ولا من يتبعنا شفيعا ولا مترونا ولا محروما اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمه وخير أعمالنا خواتمه وخير أيامنا يوم الفاتحة اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Radi. We are extremely delighted and thankful for each and every one of you to spend your precious time in joining our session today. I, Aida Farhana binti Shazali, will be your moderator throughout tonight's webinar. So, if there's any questions or any inquiries, please feel free to comment down below, and by the end of the talk, we'll have a short Q&A session with both speakers. Okay, before we begin, I'd like to remind you to register by scanning the QR code or visit the link sent by our registration committees, as we will provide our attendees with an e-certificate by the end of the webinar. Now, that's enough about me. Let's hear about our two special speakers that we have specially invited from Perak, Malaysia and Indonesia. The first panel we have here is a secondary school teacher of Aqobah International School. She was a science teacher working at MTS Mithatul Huda from 2019 to 2021, and now she is working as a biology teacher as well as the head of the international office of Aqobah International School. Prior to her working experience, she graduated from Malang State University with a Bachelor of Biology Education, securing a GPA of 3.54 for her studies. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am proud to present our first panel, Miss Najatul Ubadati, or is commonly known as Miss Nana among her students. Welcome, Miss Nana. How are you?
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to me. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing very well lately, and it's such an honor to attend in this event and being invited to join in this forum. Yeah, nice to meet you all. I am Miss Nana from Aqobah International School, Indonesia.
Thank you, Miss Nana. Okay, now we've already met our first panel, but who is our second panel? Well, ladies and gentlemen, he studied at MRSM Balik Pulau and pursued his study for a bachelor's degree in teaching English as a second language, or TESOL, at Christ Church College at Canterbury, Kent, United Kingdom. Once he graduated, he became an English teacher at SMK Tohindra Wangsa Ahmad Batu Gajah from 1995 to 2002. Later on, he was promoted as a senior assistant of students affairs at SMK Pusing up until 2012, and after that, he was transferred to SMK Menglembu and SMK Lahad to become the senior assistant of administration. With that, I hereby welcome the one and only Sir Shazali bin Sharaini. Welcome, Mr. Shazali. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm also her dad. Assalamualaikum, everybody. Okay, greetings. It's a great honor to be here as well. Okay, congratulations all for organizing such webinar. I hope it will benefit to everybody. All right. Okay. Back to you, Aida.
Thank you, Mr. Shazali. Well, now that we've gotten to know our panels, let's start diving deep into our topic today. Okay, our beloved attendees. Diving into the impact of English Malaysian versus Indonesian students will be our main discussion for today. I'll ask three different questions for both panels to ease our audience today to see the different impacts of English towards both Malaysian and Indonesian students. So, on to the first question, I would like to ask Miss Nana, what is the mastery level of the English language in Indonesia?
Okay, thank you. All right. When we are talking about the mastery level of English in Indonesia, I don't know how to express it, but based on the latest data that I got from EFEPI, the assessment that conducted by EF, the total score of Indonesian English mastery level is 469 from 800, and this score placed Indonesia in rank 81 of 111 countries that follow this assessment. From this total score, we know that the mastery level of English in Indonesia is considered as low. Uh, yeah, I'm quite sad about this fact, but that's a fact. And then I think there are some reasons that make Indonesia in this state or in this level. Looking back at the history, looking back at the history, which is in colonization era, we all know that some countries that colonized by British, they will use or they will like they will be, what is it like, use English as their national language or second language. But as for Indonesia, it's not happening like that. Um, because of Indonesia has a very large, what is it, territory, so that make Indonesia has a lot of intellectual property, such as what we call as language. There are a lot of mother language or region language in Indonesia that I can say it's around 700 languages. It's regional, so it's very many languages in Indonesia. That's why it's, yeah, and then it's affecting to how we can, what is it, master the other language and how to communicate with the other as a countryman. We must master Indonesian language, of course, and this Indonesia, or I can say bahasa Indonesia is, as the national country. We all agree that Indonesia is the national country, and yeah, of course, and then also Indonesia has a very high level of pride on its language. That's why it's quite hard for the other language to enter Indonesia, and then moreover to become the second language or the mother language or the national language. It's very hard. And also, other than history, there are some stages of English language in Indonesia. There are three stages, which is the first is as foreign language, and the second is second language, and also the instruction language. English as a foreign language. Actually, it's because, yeah, it's a new language that entering Indonesia, and uh, actually when someone using English, it's considered as you are lack of nationality, something like that. It's happening in Indonesia because of the pride of nation that Indonesian people have. That's why when someone speak English fluently here or have a high level of English skill, they are considered as exclusive or special, or yeah, oh, they have a high level of skill. And sometimes what is it, and also, yeah, that what I said before, someone will accuse of being less, what is it, less national if they are not using bahasa properly, or they use the other languages. It's like, yeah, you are you really Indonesian, something like that. It's even happening in our school. As we know, yeah, I think it will be entering to the next question about the impact, because some students in here were like keep questioning, like, why should we use English? We are Indonesian, something like that. So that's why I can say that the mastery level of English skill in Indonesia is considered low. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, thank you, Miss Nana. What an amazing explanation you gave. Thank you so much. So basically, from what Miss Nana has said, she shared how Indonesia's mastery level of English is quite low, as the total score of mastery is 469 from 800, and Indonesia placed 81 out of 111 countries. So basically, why the reasons why Indonesians barely, don't use English is because they only use it as a second language, and also Indonesia has 700 languages used in it. Also, because it is barely used, so those who used English in Indonesia actually is considered having a high pride among the Indonesians because they consider that they have a high skill in using the English. Okay, thank you, Ms. Nana, again. So we've heard from Ms. Nana. So what about Mr. Shazali? What is the mastery level of the English language in Malaysia?
All right, okay, here we go. All right, okay, Malaysian education system, the Ministry of Education in Malaysia is taking it very seriously about English in schools, the proficiency of students, their mastery in English. Okay, okay. So what we have done now is that, well, we are making English, oh, well, English is now as a core subject in schools, right? Because English now is a second language, and it's one of the aspirations of the Malaysian Ministry of Education, making at least student is bilingual. Well, it's hoped that with all the efforts, okay, Malaysia is at least bilingual. But how proficient are Malaysians? I think most are able to converse in English at a certain level. All right, urban pupils, they have very good command of English, and many measures have been introduced and implemented by the government to improve English in schools. Okay, okay. Let me take you back to 2003, where my experience, okay, the first effort called PPSMI in English, we call it the Teaching and Learning of Science and Maths in English. Okay, 2003. Now, when it was first introduced, implemented, it divided Malaysia into two. Some really liked the idea, and some didn't. Right. Lots of studies were carried out. All right. Whether it was really working. Now, as a result of this, after a lot of researchers studies, PPSMI is short-lived. All right. Despite a lot of advantages it could give to students, right? It ended in 2012. Right. Now, it was okay. MBM MBI was introduced as a soft landing measure. Now, MBM MBI is to uphold the Malay language and to strengthen the English language. Okay, right. Subsequent programs under MBM MBI are, among others, the HIP program, highly immersive program. Okay, this is to maximize students' participation in activities in English. Okay, be it in curriculum or co-curricular activities. Now, schools, they can involve the community, the private sectors, almost anybody to make this happen. Apart from that, dual language programs also introduced. Now, some parents, okay, they really love the ideas of mathematics and science to be taught in English. So some schools, the government feel that okay, some schools they are given an option to teach these two subjects in English. Now, certain boarding schools, they take it to another level. Now, giving the option, okay, they give an option to some students to take IGCSE, the International General Certificate of Secondary Education, on top of SPM, one of Malaysia public examination. All right. Okay. The subjects here in IGCSE are all the science subjects: the physics, the biology, and the chemistry, and add maths, modern maths, and English. All right. So these students, they have the upper hand to apply for the tertiary, to go ahead for tertiary level. Okay. To further enhance proficiency of English in the school, the Malaysian government introduced another program called the CFR. CFR was implemented, can't remember, maybe 2017, can't remember that. Right, CFR stands for Common European Framework of Reference for Language. Now, this is to represent the prevailing international standard for the teaching and learning of a language. Okay, in Malaysia, it's in English. Right, so with such exposure of English in schools, I reiterate that Malaysians are able to converse rather proficiency, I believe, right, in using proficiency. I'm using it loosely here. All right, okay. When they are good, they are really good. Now, I've seen students' essay which are excellent, really, really excellent. So essays written by 16, 17-year-olds. Their vocabulary, really amazing. All right, but there are some who can, but they are not using the Queen's English. Okay, and many tend to be very creative in using English. Hence, we call what we call the Manglish, right? Where they join up all the Malay words, Chinese, Tamil words. Okay, they mash it up and they form Manglish. Okay, it is found that. All right, okay. All in all, it is found that Malaysia ranks third in Asia and 24th globally in terms of being able to communicate in English. All right, communicate in English with foreigners. Well, all right. So now, on the other hand, the same proficiency cannot be said to those in rural areas. All right, we have children who can barely read. All right, like the one you mentioned just now, Miss Najatul. Okay, this is due to the fact that they have limited access of English. All right, 3 hours of schools, I don't think that's enough. It is adequate to master a language. Now at home, there is very limited access to English. Anything, anything at all. Okay, for them to apply English at home. So whether it is because of financial or by choice. Yeah, I think it's more by choice actually, right? Because anything they, like you said, Najatul, right? They question, why? Why do they need English, right? So I think I'm going to stop there. Okay, back to you, Aida Fana.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shazali, for that splendid sharing just now. So to conclude, the mastery level of English in Malaysia is quite high, as Malaysia is actually ranked third in Asia and 24th globally. Basically, this is because Malaysians are exposed to programs like MBM, MBI, and in 2003, PPSMI was introduced. And then we have also highly immersive programs, dual language programs. And then we have, for secondary level, we have International General Certificate, of secondary education, or we call it as IGCSE. And we also have programs like CFR to actually measure Malaysians English level. So to conclude it, I can, from Mr. Shazali's sharing, I can say that Malaysians are able to use English where they can write essays quite well, although they might use Manglish instead of the Queen's English. But despite that, rural areas might have problems in using English because of their mindsets and how the facilities are not well enough to provide them in learning English. Well, we settled the first part of our webinar. Let's move on to the second question. Miss Nana, I'd like to ask you, what are the impacts of the English language to Indonesian students?
All right. I could say that there are many impacts of English in Indonesia. Uh, Firstly, I will talk about globally in education. So, how is it impacting in Indonesian education? So, firstly, um, English has become a compulsory subject at all Indonesian educational level. So, from the kindergarten until the tertiary level of education, English become a compulsory subject, but it's only one subject. So I mean like the other subjects will still using bahasa Indonesia, but there is compulsory subject which is English, and this the effect as a global, yeah, I mean in education, but for the student itself, I think nowadays with the with the advancement of technology and social media, English has already become a lifestyle for students. We can say that there are a lot of students make a caption for their social media for any post using English, and then any like maybe TikTok video, they will mix and mix their languages within bahasa and then English too. And also, but I think it's not for a communication. However, there are some countries, like big countries such as Jakarta and then Surabaya, and also maybe we can say that Bali, uh, because there are a lot of tourists there. So English already become like a common communication language. But since Indonesia has a lot of region, a lot of cities, I think I cannot say that those cities that what is it like representing English as the communication language considered as enough that English is what is it like received well in Indonesia because yeah but some of students already make it as their lifestyle because back again that whoever can speak English or can write in English they are considered as special, they are considered as exclusive, yeah, with high skill, and also rather other than becoming a lifestyle, English also increasing the students' motivation to compete globally. Lately, there are a lot of scholarship, international scholarship that opened in Indonesia, funded by the government or for the from the country that held the scholarship. There are a lot of Indonesian students that enrolling to the scholarship and then continue pursuing their education in outside in abroad. So I can say that English also increasing the motivation of students to study around the world and spreading the knowledge. Wait a moment. I'm sorry, I will move a place first. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience because actually right now there is another webinar event in the school. Okay, I will continue. And then the last impact of English, I get what is it like the advancement in students' mastery level of global knowledge because when they mastering English, of course they can study, they can master, and they can dissolve a lot of language that available in English because as we know that there are a lot of resources that provided in English which consider as a good resources to learn. That's why if we would like to improve our skill, improve our understanding, we should understand the English language first before we can understand the content. That's why I think with this English language happening in Indonesia, it's also improving the students' global knowledge too. Yeah, I think it's enough.
Okay, so basically, from what Miss Nana has shared, the impacts of English to Indonesian students is that English is made as a lifestyle due to the technology advancements that nowadays are have been using, like the media, social media. That's all. That's how students in Indonesia are using English right now. Basically, when they use social media, they will tend to make English captions. Despite having like Malaysians, they will mix their English and their own bahasa, but at least they're still using the English. But then again, those who actually use English in Indonesia, like Miss Nana has said, is actually considered special, considered exclusive, because it is rarely used in Indonesia. Also, the impact of students in the using English in Indonesian students is that it increases students' motivation to compete globally because there are scholarships provided by the government for the students to study abroad. Hence, also improves their global knowledge on their surroundings. So thank you, Miss Nana, for sharing your thoughts on the question. We've heard about Indonesia. Now, what about Malaysia? Mr. Shazali, what are your thoughts on the impacts of the English language to Malaysian students?
All right, okay, I quite agree with what Ms. Najatul just now. Okay, English does motivate students, increase their global knowledge. Right, kids who are proficient in English tend to be more confident. They can speak their mind, they can express themselves. Okay, and I can say many of them are quite well read because they know why? Because thanks to social media, right? TikTok, Instagram Reels. Uh, Now, these social media stuff, right? When they watch an English reel, a lot more will come in. So they have more interest, right? Okay, the games they play, the videos, the how-to videos, they have a lot more interest compared to those who are not very proficient. So I quite agree. Right, and they have okay. Okay. Everybody know that, right? Right. Okay, we have to admit English is important. So the chances to get into universities are higher. Okay, Malaysian University made it compulsory for applicants to get a band 4 to meet for in MUET, Malaysian University English test to qualify. Okay, in order to qualify, all right, there are better chances to study abroad, and if their mastery of English is good, they are more willing to study abroad, and of course, they get better job opportunities. Now, to become teachers nowadays, they have to excel English. All right, and all right, they cannot deny that they will use English throughout the tertiary levels. Right, it's unequivocal that everything in there is primarily in English. The books, journals, materials in the internet. All right, because they have very limited books written in Malay. All right, and then that's their thesis or dissertation. They have to write that in English as well. Okay, so okay, now yeah, we have Google Translate, right? Yeah, but everybody knows that they are not really helpful. Okay, we have to have certain level of degree of mastery in English, okay, to be able to write that kind of document. So I think, all right, English, to reach a certain level in their life, they have to master English. Okay, Aida Fana, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shatali. So to sum up, basically the impact of English towards Malaysian students is quite similar to the Indonesian student, which is using English through social medias, as it is a more interesting approach where students nowadays they use English through social media, they use through games, videos, in YouTube video, Reels, TikToks, those kind of um, entertainments that they will use English. Also, the impact of it is that the students are more willing to study abroad as they are also offered better job opportunities where teachers must also excel in English. And also, the impact of English in education for Malaysia is that the tertiary education mainly use English. So their instruction is used in English, their books are in English, journals, theses, and even the online resources, the journals online, the blogs online are all in English. So that's the impact towards Malaysian students. Okay, moving on to the next question. Miss Nana, what are some of the ways that can be implemented to improve the English language in Indonesia?
All right. So firstly, I will talk about how to improve it in general way for in I mean like nationally. So firstly, I think because English as a compulsory subject in school, we need to continuously evaluate the implementation of the curriculum. How is it running in the school? Is it achieving the goals or not? And then evaluating and assessing the student skill uh, with a good assessment tool. And then also improving the standard test for English skill, which is right now, I think all of the university in Indonesia have a requirement of English skill to enter the university. Like it's around for example for TOEFL, they give requirement for around 500 score, and also for IELTS sometimes it's around 5 band score. And also, other than that, I think international standard curriculum or international standard school, it will be a very good way to improve English in Indonesia. However, there is a story about international standard class in Indonesia. So back then, I think it's around 2010 until 2013 or 14, if I'm not mistaken. There is what is it? There is a regulation about international standard no, sorry, class, but then it's banned because yeah, back again, it's like breaking the oath that how can you make English to become the national language, because it's come back again that Indonesia has a very high pride in their language, which is Bahasa Indonesia. So back then there's already an international standard class, but it's banned. And then but I come up with the solution because I'm quite like faithful that international standard school is very important for improving English skill in Indonesian students. And then of course we need a lot of international collaboration that can be done within educational institution or government institution. And then if I could say about what is it like down to the school program, since English is not our mother language in Indonesia and English not even the second language, so English is really something new, something strange, something like if we don't accept or receive it, we cannot master it. So I can say like the school program should be started from the listening skill, and then the imitating skill, reading skill, speaking skill, and the last is practicing, because there will be nothing happening if there is no practice. No student can master English if they can't regularly practice it. So the good program, I think, will be the program that is continuously done, not just once or uh, like yeah once program and then but it's stopping. No, but it's a continuous program. Such as, if I could give you example, in my school there is a program that is called as English speaking program. In this program, the students will be grouped into smaller number from among the students, and then they are grouped based on their level, and we conduct this session every week for 4 times. So it's 4 times in a week, and in that program, we can do anything related to English, from speaking, listening, reading, and so on. So it's really 1 hour full of English. But we already implement this program since our first year of school. So, and I see a lot of improvement from the students. Like before they enter to the school, it's their English are considered very low. They cannot spell, they cannot understand the simple word, even the I U V, they cannot know that. But now some of them, they can really speak it well after 3 years, because yeah, we have 3 years already. I mean, the school is 3 years old, and we already implemented this program, that program, English speaking program, from our first year, and it really can be seen. It really can be seen. I mean, the progress, the result, that from a continuous program, we can know the result well. We can see it well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nana. So based on what Miss Nana has shared, basically the ways is first is to make English as a compulsory subject in school and to evaluate the English curriculum in school to improve the standard tests for English skills. Also, the way to implement English to improve the students' skill is to have a lot of collaborations between international and government institutions. Also have school programs focusing on listening, speaking, reading, and also writing. Also, not to forget, these school programs must be continuous, where learners are able to regularly practice their foreign language skills. For instance, like Miss Nana has shared, her school has conducted a program called English Speaking Program, where 4 times a week they will use 1 hour full of English. And with that, they can actually see the improvement of the students' English skills. Okay, so again, thank you, Ms. Nana. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our last question, in which we will hear about it from Malaysia's perspective. Okay, Mr. Shazali, what are some of the ways that can be implemented to improve the English language in Malaysia?
Okay. Back to the question Ms. Najatul said just now. Why do we need to learn English? Why is English necessary to students? So we can't tell them the long-term why English is important because it's good for their future or they need to learn English for university. It's too far off for them. All right. I think we need to find a ground for them to use at home. Right? Because like I said earlier, 3 hours of English a week is not adequate for them to master a language. So, right, we need to incept interest in the mind, saying that English is exciting to learn. Right? So, how do we do that? All right. Okay. There are several ways I can think of. Okay. Again, this is not new. A lot of people always we will talk about making lessons fun. Now, if you look at textbooks and all the suggestions given, are they really fun? Okay, are do those activities are they really exciting to 13-year-olds or even 7-year-olds? We need to think about that one. Nowadays we talk about devices, right? Mobile phones, the computers, and laptops, and everything. And I think we can make use of those. Okay, why can't we? I don't know. We need to find a mechanism so that devices can be brought to school. Students can use their mobile phones. Okay, we can encourage them, teach them. All right, mobile phones are not just for WhatsApp or playing mobile games. All right, or watching TikTok videos. All right, we can use them. Okay, a lot of other things we can use a mobile phone. All right, now, yeah, there are a lot of B40s, but I'm sure. I think yeah, there are a lot of students are B40s, right? Many people question whether they do well, whether they own a device or not. But I believe many do. Many has a device for them to use. Okay, it doesn't have to be expensive, right? As long as they can search the internet, right? Pay videos. So we need to think about that one. Okay, maybe that can spark interest for them to learn English. All right. So, in addition to that, we need to think about method of teaching in classes. All right. I think, okay, I observe some teachers teaching. Okay, many are very mechanical in teaching. Right? Teaching of grammar. It's like teaching maths. All right. Okay. We have to find some other way. Well, it's easy for us to say, right? Okay, well, we have to think of something. Because I think teaching a language is not like teaching maths or science, where there are a lot of facts. Okay, there are loads, tons, okay, of materials in the internet. We can employ those, okay, to spark interest, to insert this interest, so that students can use, so they can use those for self-learning. Maybe I've tried this, which my principal did not like very much because of safety reasons, of course. Because I encourage students to bring their mobile at school just temporarily, because it's short-lived, because a lot of problems because of that, because of rules and everything. But if we look into it, okay, try to find a way so that, okay, a lot of devices like this to be used, apart from textbooks, stationery, we can improve English in schools. That's what I think. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shazali. So based on what Mr. Shazali has shared just now, the way to improve in English in Malaysia is to actually nurture interest among students, make the lessons more fun, more engaging, unlike the traditional way where I agree with what Mr. Shazali said, how textbooks are not interesting to 13, 14-year-olds, especially those primary children. It's not interesting for them to learn English through the use of textbooks. However, it is more interesting, more engaging, more fun for them to learn to actually use the technological facilities like using their mobile phones to search the internet, play videos to actually spark their interest to learn English. So changing the method of teaching in class is actually important because teaching language is different from teaching factual subjects like maths and science. So when you teach teach a subject that focuses on language, it's important for you to actually integrate fun activities in class. Now that both our speakers have actually shared their thoughts on the three questions that I have we have discussed today, therefore I'd like to conclude a bit on both of our speakers sharing today. So basically, what we have discussed is about Indonesia's English mastery level, where it is quite low because of it doesn't focus on English language that much. It values their bahasa more, and as for Malaysia, it's considered quite high as Malaysians are exposed to programs like HIP, CFR, those kind of programs. Hence, most Malaysians are able to actually converse and use English quite well. As for the impacts of English towards students, well, for Indonesians, basically, um, impacts of English towards Indonesian students is that English is actually used for their lifestyle due to technology. They use English for their captions. Well, this is quite similar also to Malaysia, where English is used through social media, and these students use English to actually because they feel motivated to actually study abroad and have better job opportunities. But despite that, there are also some drawbacks because these students actually use English wrongly, where don't use the Queen's English. Instead, they use a mixture of their own mother tongue and English. Like in both Indonesia and Malaysia use their own bahasa and they mix it with English. So thank you to both of our panels today for sharing for answering the questions that I have asked just now. So
Thank
with
you.
that, we have almost reached the end of our webinar today. So before we end, I'd like to conduct a short Q&A session with our audience. Okay, so please leave your questions in the comment section down below, and the committee members will assist me to ask the questions to our panels. So we will wait for a while until the questions are posted. Okay, we have already have the first question. So the first question is from Miss Wan Arina. She asked, "What is the most challenging situation you ever faced in becoming an English teacher in your country?"
Most challenging one when when the students are barely able to read in English, okay, in Bahasa and in English. That's a real challenge. It's like teaching someone from a scratch. What about you, Miss Najatul? Do you have that kind of experience?
Of course. Yeah, I agree with that. But before that, actually, it's hard for me to say because uh, even though I am teaching in international school, which all of the teachers are obligated to teach in English and also become the English teacher of English speaking, but um, my basic is not in English teaching, but I could say that yeah, the most challenging part when like what I said before, English is something that really new, completely new for them, for the students, because they don't get it since they were born. That's why uh, it's like studying how can they learn how to walk, how to talk. Like yeah, it's like teaching a baby because it's really something new, and they should able to talk in a complete different language like they already know or they already used before. And then again, like what we discussed before, the students they don't really understand why we must use English, why English is important because it's really complicated to explain about that. Because yeah, they haven't found that English is very exciting to learn. That's why I think it will become a yeah huge challenge for us to teach.
Yeah, I don't think students understand the importance of English because okay, their surrounding do not help to emphasize the importance. Okay, okay, they do not feel the need of English because everything around them, okay, they like you said in Indonesia as well. They speak Malay at home. They speak Malay. Wherever they go, they can speak Malay, and all the entertainment, the movies, everything have Malay subtitle. So why learn English? So that's what I said. In classroom, we have to find something to make them interested, not because they have. Okay, there is a purpose of learning English in the beginning. We have to make them like to learn English first, because
Yes, agree, Mister.
that's a real challenge, I think. Yeah. obviously at school is us as teachers, but we are only with them up until 2:30 p.m. We are not we play, well, I don't know how to say this, but all right, parents have to take over from there. Now parents have to, okay, I know a lot of parents, they are not good in English, I know, but they have to have all right, they have to give encouragement to their kids that they need to learn English. They have to provide opportunities at home so that they can use English. What about you, Miss Najatul?
Um, who will play the important role, the most important role in habituating the English? Yeah, of course, it's again. I think all of the stakeholder will have yeah important role. Firstly, the teachers as the facilitator, and also yeah again the environment, and also the motivation from the student itself. I think it's also played quite big role in mastering English because I could say in some students that they eager to study English, they can master it well, even though they are not really good in, or we can consider them as a lower achiever. If they have the willing, they have the motivation to learn, uh, we can see the improvement. But it's yeah, but again, it's very hard for Indonesian especially because yeah, the mindset of Indonesian people towards English is still yeah, that what we said before.
But parents, Malaysian parents, they know English is important. It's just that maybe because of their level of English, right? So they feel maybe they feel in dilemma, right? Asking their children to learn English, all right, but they themselves don't know English. So maybe they feel okay, there's something there to discourage them to discourage them to encourage the children to learn English.
Okay, thank you to both panels. Okay, for the third question, we actually have a question from IPG Kampus Bahasa Antarabangsa from Shukri Shamsuri. He asked that what is the most important factor affecting students' learning?
Come again, come again. What's the most important? What again?
What is the most important factor affecting students' learning?
All right. Okay. Like I told you just now, I talk about, okay, it's not helping us telling students why English is important because they get better jobs, better future. So the importance is, all right, in classroom, the teacher plays main part. The teacher needs to find exciting ways, not interesting, exciting ways, so that students learn English. So I don't know whether you've seen this movie called Men in Black 2, where no, was it the first one? I can't remember. But all right, he discovered that his teacher was an alien, and he's not even surprised. All right, okay. What am I getting at here? It's just that we have need to find a connection between teacher and students. We have to connect. We have to tell them that we are human beings too. Okay, we were first, right, at their place. Okay, we were one students too, and we were like them in the beginning. All right, we were not born with English. Okay, we were not born being able to speak English fluently. We have to learn. Okay, it's just that we need to teach them. We have to tell them why we learn English. Okay, in the beginning. I don't know. What about you, Miss Najatul?
I will very agree that teaching method that will be very affecting them because I think the approach, the model, the teaching method is very important in building the classroom and then managing the classroom or the session, such as, yeah, I can really see the difference when I just give them like what is it like when I conduct a English speaking class and then I just give them like a speaking, they will be very bored and then they will like, Miss, movie please, or something like that. Okay, it's back again. Yeah, as a teacher, it's very important for us to understand first the condition, the personality, the psychological state of the student, so we can understand how to teach them, how to approach them, how to build their motivation and their willingness, and how to make them engage in our learning process. So yeah, I could say that our teaching method, our approach, our model will be very affecting the students' motivation in learning.
Okay, thank you to Mr. Shazali and Miss Nana. So we have a last question by Miss Edrina, which is among the four language skills, which one is the most important and why? I repeat again. Among the four language skills, which one is the most important and why?
I can't decide because every skill has its importance, all right? Because we need all four. But at the rate we are going now at schools, we are making writing. We are putting more importance on writing, because that's how we can score. Okay, yes, we have PBD now, right? Where we assess students, okay, throughout their learning in school, in classes. But truthfully speaking, uh, honestly, I think what we are doing now, we are giving more importance to writing. I don't know. What about in Indonesia?
Well, it's really tricky question because yeah, we know that all of the four skills are very important. I could say that listening and reading as a passive skill, and then speaking and what is it? Uh, Writing is the active one. I think we cannot do the active skills without mastering the passive one. So yeah,
True.
it's really important to master all of the skills. Mm, that's why currently in our school we are trying to boost all of the skills. We have the listening program, we have the reading program, we have the speaking program, we also have the writing program, and all of the skills are being assessed in this school twice in a semester or even daily assessment. Yeah, we have all of that because since Indonesian consider very new to English, we must master all of the skill first, and then yeah, we can assess all of them well, and yeah, we can know how far we can go if we can master all of the skills. So I cannot decide which one is the most important, which one is more important, but yeah, we must agree that all of the skills are important and essential.
Well, thank you so much to Mr. Shazali and Miss Nana for answering all four questions just now. Well, if we look at the time, we've almost reached the end of our webinar session. So before we end, let's have a quick photography session with our panels and committee members. Okay, so I'll count to three and we'll start screenshot the screen. Okay, we'll start taking the picture. Okay, one, two, three. 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 Okay.
All right. Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So that's all. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our webinar. We'll see you again. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. Good night. Apa
Thank
tadi lu?
you. See you. See you.